Welcome into Steelers Talk here on a beautiful Monday afternoon. We're kicking off our coverage of this week of Steelers offseason coverage with a bang here on Steelers Talk Live. Thank you to everybody watching around the world right now. We already got 76 people watching live in this chat room, and these 75, 76 people are the true real ones. So get down there in the comment section and spam those real ones if you made it to the beginning of today's show. But before we introduce our producer today, Mr. Jack Lautaret, let's have a word from what we're going to be seeing on our show today, which is first up, latest Steelers news and rumors. We've got two pieces of bad news to cover for the Pittsburgh Steelers today that we'll cover at the top of today's show. Then I'm going to tell you why. I'm not necessarily saying I want Aaron Rodgers to be the starting quarterback of this team, but why I think it's getting more and more likely to happen. And I think Mike Tomlin might be the key to it. And then the final topic on today's show is we're going to take a look at the latest Steelers mock drafts here, and we're going to see who guys like Joel Klatt, CBS Sports, PFF, have the Steelers taking in their latest mocks. I'm going to react to the players they have the Steelers taking in those mock drafts. And with that, let's bring on our producer today. We got the Jack and Jack combo today, Jack Squared. If you guys watched our Paul Skeens watch parties last year, you know him well. It's Mr. Jack Lautaret. Jack, how we doing today, my friend? Yeah, we can hear you. Can you hear Jack, guys?
How about that?
There you go. There's Jack. There's Jack. Jack, how are we doing today?
I'm good. I'm feeling good. I'm ready to be back on Steelers. I'm happy to be back on Steelers, and here we go, Steelers.
Absolutely. You got your towel right there. You know what to do there, Jack. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Jack, I appreciate you stepping in today for Coop. Coop is actually mourning the loss of Luka Doncic to the Mavs over in Los Angeles right now. He's spending a weekend over there. He's traveling back today. So Thursday, Coop will be back, but we got the Jack and Jack combo for you guys this afternoon. So get us started in the comments section right now by letting us know where you're watching the show from. What I love about this community, guys, is that it's international. You can find Steelers fans here in Dallas, Texas. Obviously, you can find them in Pittsburgh, PA. You can find them in Dublin. You can find them in China. You can find them anywhere that you can watch professional football. So I see Brock Walker's in the chat. What's up, my man? We've got Danny Goss. We got Gary Frank in here. We got Vincent. We got Deborah. We got Firor. I can't even say that name. We got Norm. We've got Tyler from New Jersey. We got Mad Dog from Georgia. We got Sterling Jacobs from DC. We've got Kobe Wolf from Canton, Illinois. We got Brock Walker coming to us from North Carolina. Michael Knott from Tennessee. Matt Galen from North Carolina. Christopher Trailer from Germany. What's up, Christopher? Thanks for what's the time in Germany right now? I mean, goodness gracious. We got Cassidy coming from Ohio. Pizza's go from Virginia. We got Myas. What's up, Jackie? And also Jackie the Second. So I guess you're Jackie the Second now from Myas. We are Jack Squared. Absolutely. We got Kermit is. Oh, wow. Geez, almost midnight in Germany right now. So shout out to Christopher for watching the show from Germany. Got Hernandez family from Los Angeles, California. We got Paul DeGroat from Pennsylvania. We've got Paul Michael from San Diego. We've got Clyde coming in from Florida. Rachel Lopez is here. Rachel Lopez. What's up? We've got Eric from Florida. Got Derek says get Justin Fields and develop him. I sure hope he could develop if we get him back, for sure, man. We've got Super Steelers Gaming from South Carolina. Myas Rhodes coming to us from Columbia, South Carolina. We got a great crew of Yinzers ready to talk some Steelers football with us today. Now, our donation menu today. We got a very special donation menu today, and we're switching it up a little bit, all right? So every $5, we're going to do a Here We Go Steelers chant for you guys like we always do. But for $20 super chats today, our helper today, Avery, Penny is going to be doing some Gummy Shots for us, and she actually made some non-alcoholic Gummy Shots for me today as well. So for $20, me and Avery will take some Gummy Shots here for you guys. Every $50 we get today, so that's every $50 total on the show, all right? So collectively, I have to do 10 push-ups. So every $50 we get today, I have to do 10 push-ups, and that is for every 50 we get today. So as long as you guys keep donating, the more I'm going to be pushing. Then $100 total today. I told Jack that he couldn't wear his Boston Red Sox hat today. Jack, if you want to get on screen here so you can show them the stupid hat that you have on right now. Jack is currently wearing a Boston Red Sox hat. He's very happy about Alex Bregman signing with the Beaners.
Very.
This weekend.
Very.
And he told me that we have to make $100 in Super Chats today in order for him to put on a Steelers hat. So we have a Steelers hat ready for him.
Look, we just started a Red Sox channel here at Chat Sports, so I'm like all in on the Red Sox right now. So ain't nothing getting this hat off my head unless we get $100 in Super Chats. Then I'll take the hat off.
You take the hat off and you put a Steelers hat on. Yes, we have the Steelers hat right here. He's going to put on the Steelers hat if we can get $100 total on today's show. And then if we get to $200, I'll drink a boot to finish out the show today. All right, so that's our donation menu today. If you guys want to send in your Super Chats, send in your Venmos, Cash Apps, PayPals, all that stuff, we greatly appreciate it. And we've got our first one of the day, and it's Mr. Kareem Richardson with a $10 Venmo. That's two. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Then we've got Lucas Skew coming in with a $2 Venmo. Appreciate you, Luke. Thanks for the $2. That's already $12 in the bank. Helping us get into our first 50, getting to 100 so Jack can take that stupid hat off his head, and then hopefully we can get to 200 today so I can do a boot as well. Also, we also appreciate you guys sending in your donations via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal today. YouTube does take a 30% cut of every single super chat you send in, but we get to keep more of the proceeds and more of your donation dollars when you send in your donations via Venmo, Cash App, or PayPal. You can find me at Jack Sperry on Venmo, # Captain Jack 19 on Cash App, or at Captain Jack Rabbit on PayPal. All that information is down there in the comments section and also in the description of today's live show. So if you ever want to send in a donation, you want us to do some Gummy Shots today, make sure you guys send in those donations to these areas here. So let's get the party started here, guys. If you've already clicked that thumbs up icon, we got 140 people watching. 32 people have liked the show. We got to get to at least 50 likes here before we get into the first segment today. So make sure you spam those me's in the chat. If you have spam that thumbs up icon. We got Offsides Edits is in here. We got Pizza is Goated. We got Eric Oliva. We've got Brock Walker. We got Shane Boone. We got Vincent. We got Chadwick. We got Christopher Trailer. We got, of course, Pizza is Goated. We've got Robert Locke. What's up, my man, Bob Locke? We've got Kareem Richardson in here. We got Paul Michael, Gary Frank, Funny Man Bjorn. We've got Kevin Reed, Austin Rick, Tim Hopper, Kobe, Wolf, Dylan. We've got Michael Eli, Survival Kid. Let's get to 50 likes. There we go. We got to 50. Thank you guys so much for clicking that thumbs up icon. It really does help us out, and it gets this stream out in front of more people. So if you want to help us get this stream out to as many Steelers fans as possible to join our community, please be sure to click that thumbs up icon. It really does help us out. So on today's show, we're about to get into the latest Steelers news and rumors. 2 bits of bad news for Steelers fans this afternoon, unfortunately. Then we'll get into why I think Aaron Rodgers actually has a pretty good chance of being the Steelers' starting quarterback next year, whether we as fans want that or not. And then also we'll finish up today's show with the latest mock draft roundup, breaking down who all the top NFL draft experts are projecting to the Pittsburgh Steelers this spring. So without further ado, let's get into our first segment today. The latest Steelers news and rumors are coming at you right now. Unfortunately, Steelers fans just got a double dose of bad news here on a Monday. So today we're going to be breaking down these two bits of bad news and how they affect the Pittsburgh Steelers offseason here in 2025. Welcome into Steelers Talk. I'm your host, Jack Sperry. And only 5 other channels here at Chat Sports have gotten to 76,000 subscribers here on YouTube. We've done a phenomenal job growing this channel over the last 2 to 3 years, and right now we can become one of the 6 channels to get to 76,000 subscribers if we can just get 21 more people out there to click that thumbs up icon. So if you're watching our shows, you love watching our show, you watch our show every single day and you still haven't clicked that subscribe button for whatever reason, what are you waiting for, man? Click that subscribe button. We only need 21 more people to click that button for us to become the 6th channel in Chat Sports history to get to 76,000 subscribers. It's an incredible accomplishment. So help us get there today by clicking that subscribe button right now. So the first bit of bad news here is that if you were hoping the Steelers were going to get Cincinnati Bengals wide receiver T. Higgins in free agency this year, well, that dream kind of officially died today as the Bengals are reportedly getting ready to franchise tag T. Higgins this offseason. And, this is really smart by the Bengals for 2 specific reasons. The first one is that it gives Cincinnati more time to negotiate a new contract long-term with T. Higgins. All right, like they're going to have a more extended period to try to come to terms on a long-term deal to keep him in Cincinnati. The second reason why it's really smart, guys, is it allows the Bengals to determine his next destination if he's traded, all right? Because it's going to open up the possibility of a trade elsewhere. And then, of course, if they trade him away, they're going to get something in return for him. So not only do they get something in return for him, but they can make sure he doesn't end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers, the Cleveland Browns, or the Baltimore Ravens, and they can probably trade him away to a team in the NFC. So if you're hoping that the Pittsburgh Steelers were going to get T. Higgins, unfortunately, I'm here to report there's close to a 0% chance that T. Higgins becomes a Pittsburgh Steeler in 2025. So that takes away probably the biggest and most talented option on the open market in the free agency market for the Pittsburgh Steelers. And I know that there's a lot of Steelers fans in this community that were really excited about the opportunity of getting T. Higgins. So unfortunately, that is the first bit of bad news today. But let's discuss some of the other options at wide receiver that are at the Steelers' disposal this offseason. And, some of the names that are veterans that I think the Steelers could potentially look at here, Davante Adams could be coming over if you sign like Aaron Rodgers or Derek Carr. And who knows, maybe he wants to play with Justin Fields. Who knows? He's going to be a free agent this year, most likely. They got Chris Godwin, who I think is probably the best true free agent wide receiver on the market this year. Cooper Kupp and Deebo Samuel have certainly been involved in Steelers rumors as of late. The Steelers really like Cooper Kupp, by the way. Christian Kirk was involved in some trade rumors with the Pittsburgh Steelers before he got injured last year. DeAndre Hopkins is somebody that I think could potentially fit well with what the Steelers want to do. Stephon Diggs and Amari Cooper are also former number 1 receivers that will be on the market this offseason. And, I think that these veteran options, if I'm being honest with you, there's not a whole lot of them that I trust to be the true number 1 wide receiver on the Pittsburgh Steelers. And unless it's like Davante Adams, I think that, if you're somebody that wants George Pickens back on this football team as the number 1 wide receiver, I really do think that George Pickens will be back in 2025. And even if you get Davante, I think that he could be an excellent mentor for George. So personally, right now, I'm more in the camp of keeping George Pickens on this roster, but I also think that they're going to really look at this wide receiver draft class to pick up potentially a future number 1 wide receiver for the long term. If Luther Burden III out of Missouri or Matthew Golden get to you at number 21 this year, I think you run that card up to the table as long as Ashton Genty is off the board. But there's still a lot of really good options on day 2 as well. You could get Ibuka on day 1 if you really like him. Jaden Higgins out of Iowa State reminds me a little bit of T. Higgins in terms of the size and route running combination that Higgins brings to the table. Elike Amainer out of Stanford brings a lot of great size with route running that I really like. Jack Besh reminds a lot of people of Puka Nacua and can be an excellent fit in Arthur Smith's offense. And they've got a bunch of different options at their disposal on day 2 that you guys can see on your screen right now. And, I think that when it comes to the Steelers and the wide receiver position this year, it's going to be very interesting to see how they handle this position. Do they keep George Pickens or do they trade him? Do they bring in Davante Adams? What free agent wide receiver do they bring in? And then how early of a draft pick do they spend on the wide receiver position? All these questions are going to be answered throughout the offseason, but the one thing we pretty much know for sure at this point is that it won't be T. Higgins. So who's your guy? Let me know down there in the comments section. Which wide receiver would you like the Steelers to acquire this offseason? Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section for today's pinned comment. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our awesome sponsor at Public Rec. While I'm talking about Public Rec, go down there in the comment section, find that pinned comment at the top of the comment section, and let me know which receiver you want the Steelers to add this offseason. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Public Rec. And you know what, guys? Let's be real for a minute. Nobody's got time for stiff, uncomfortable clothes anymore. It's February, it's cold, especially if you're out there in Pittsburgh, PA right now, and you deserve to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing, no matter what you're doing. That's where Public Rec comes in, guys. These pants are an absolute game changer. Their pants are designed to be as comfy as your favorite sweats, but way more stylish. We're talking super soft fabric, no stiff seams, and enough stretch to keep up with whatever your day throws at you. Public Rec isn't just about pants. They have so many great style options, whether you're working all day in the office like we are here at Chat Sports, running errands, or just grabbing a drink with the guys. And I'll tell you guys this right now. Once you put them on, you're going to wonder why you ever got another pair of pants other than Public Rec. It's that good, guys. Trust me. So this February, stop settling for the same old stuff, especially in the pants department. Step up your comfort game with Public Rec today. For a limited time only, our listeners can get up to 20% off your entire order with code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. That's 20% off your entire order when you use promo code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. I love wearing their t-shirts, guys, as well. It's more than just pants. I love how stretchy their fabric is and how breathable it is during the summer, but also how premium the quality of the materials are during the winter to keep you warm. And then when it comes to the pants, the game-changing feature with Public Rec is their customized sizing option, so I can get the perfect fit. You guys know I'm tall and skinny. With Public Rec, that's not an issue. I can get the perfect style of pants that look great on my body every single time, and it's absolutely fantastic. I could not recommend this company more. So this February, treat yourself right, because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference today. For a limited time only, you guys can get 20% off at Public Rec by using code CHAT20. That's one word, all caps, CHAT20 at checkout. Just head on over to publicrec.com, use code CHAT20, and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask you how you found them, be sure to mention our show, Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. It really helps us out. Find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules. So the second bit of bad news for Steelers fans here is that a new kind of set of odds to be the next Steelers starting quarterback in 2025 has been released, and Kirk Cousins was at the top of the list with plus 500 odds, which is about like a 17% chance of being the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. Followed right behind Cousins is Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields at plus 550. Sam Darnold is right behind those guys at plus 600, followed by Jalen Milroe at plus 800. Matthew Stafford, Russell Wilson, Derek Carr, none of those guys made this list from bookies.com. And there's a lot of Steelers fans that are kind of freaking out about this list, and for good reason. This would be an absolute disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers if they bring in Kirk Cousins, noodle arm Cousins at this point in his career, who can't throw even in Atlanta's Dome Stadium anymore, let alone coming to the AFC North where it's windy, where it's cold, it's rainy. And, I think that my biggest concern with Kirk Cousins is that his arm strength has completely fallen off a cliff this past year. He tried fitting balls into windows last year with Atlanta that he was trying to cash checks that his arm just could not cash. And, I really, really worry, especially late in the season, if he comes to Pittsburgh, that we're going to be seeing a quarterback that's not functional whatsoever in these weather type of football games. So for me, I just don't trust him playing in this division for this team, and I think it's a complete non-starter to bring in Kirk Cousins, who in my opinion is completely washed at this point in his NFL career. And honestly, I just don't think that this is a good idea whatsoever for the Pittsburgh Steelers. But what scares me here, guys, and the reason why he is relatively high on the odds makers list right now, is that he is technically a scheme fit for what Arthur Smith wants to do here. Kirk Cousins has played in West Coast systems his entire life. He's made a living overthrowing the ball over the middle of the field. What does Arthur Smith like to do? He likes his quarterbacks to throw over the middle of the field like Ryan Tannehill did back in Tennessee when Arthur had his best run as an offensive coordinator. And Kirk technically fits that style of offense because he's played in that style of offense so many times throughout his career, pretty much his entire career, actually. And, I really don't think it would work because of the arm strength issues in this division in particular, but you can see why these odd makers are giving Kirk Cousins a pretty decent chance of being the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers, and that scares the absolute shit out of me. Then you get into the list, you get into the 6 quarterbacks here. I would take all 6 of these quarterbacks ahead of Kirk Cousins. Yes, Justin Fields, and you guys know I'm not the highest on Justin Fields. You guys know I have my concerns about Justin. I would rather take him over Kirk Cousins because with Kirk, I have a 0% chance in my mind of winning a Super Bowl next year. At least with Justin Fields, he has the upside to potentially get to where he could be a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. And I would rather go into next year with the excitement of Justin Fields and seeing if he could become something really, really nice as opposed to having Kirk Cousins where I think that his career is over. And I think that the Steelers season would be over before it even started if they went out and got Kirk Cousins in NFL free agency this year. So please, Arthur Smith, Mike Tomlin, Omar Khan, I beg of you guys saw my list of 6 quarterbacks. You get any of those 6, I'll be good as long as it's not Kirk Cousins. So let me know down there in the comments section, which of these 4 quarterbacks would be the biggest disaster for the Pittsburgh Steelers at quarterback next year. Type KC for Kirk Cousins, AR for Aaron Rodgers, and I know how much of you guys hate Aaron Rodgers. Type JF for Justin Fields, and I know how much a lot of you guys hate Russell Wilson as well. Type RW if you think Russ would be the biggest disaster here in Pittsburgh. Now, before I go here, one more story I want to discuss because I thought it was a very interesting idea that Daniel Jeremiah from the NFL Network had about the Steelers and specifically how they approach their training camp practices. All right, so Jeremiah went on a podcast and he suggested that the Pittsburgh Steelers should not be as rough as they are and as intense as they are in Latrobe for their training camp practices. This is what Jeremiah had to say. They looked like a dead-legged team. They looked tired and exhausted towards the end of last season, which to me is reason to at least consider studying practices in terms of how aggressive you want to go in training camp. I love going to Steelers camp because it's like an old school camp. I mean, they are hitting their own pads and they come out the gates hot because they're so weathered and worn with how they approach it. But this is a lot of evidence now of them faltering and falling apart late in the season. So maybe there's something they need to look into from a standpoint of trying to maintain their legs a little bit because they just look tired and slow. And, I think when you look at the, kind of the trend of the Steelers, collapsing late in seasons, the Mike Tomlin late season collapse is something that has become a phenomenon here in Pittsburgh. I think it's more than fair to criticize Tomlin's kind of old school approach of, really tiring these guys out in training camp. And, I think that the benefit of that is that these guys are more ready for the physicality of NFL football right out of the gate. We saw that last year, by the way, with the fast start the Steelers defense in particular had to last season. That defense was elite to start the season because these teams were not ready for that level of physicality, and the Steelers were playing at that level of physicality all training camp long. But as Jeremiah points out, they looked like a tired football team, and especially on defense towards the end of the season, because the defense was on the field for so long during the season. I mean, like the offense was like never on the field because they just weren't successful, and the defense always had to stay on the field, and they had to eat the time of possession. But also because they put in so much work during training camp, hitting other guys, the physicality of it all, you can make an argument that these guys just run out of gas to finish seasons, which is why the Steelers have not been able to get over this hump of winning a playoff game, even during like the Killer Bee era, because all these guys are so tired and their opponents are fresher going into the postseason. But I kind of doubt that Mike Tomlin at this point in his NFL coaching career, this is what he's always done. It is his bread and butter. It is his style. I really, really doubt he's going to change the way that he approaches Latrobe and training camp as long as he's the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. Should the Steelers go easier in training camp? Maybe they'd be a little bit less prepared to start seasons, but maybe they'd be a little bit fresher to finish seasons. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. I thought it was an interesting idea. Want to hear your guys' thoughts. Give me a yes or a no down there in the comments section. And that'll be it for today's edition of Steelers News and Rumors. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already for extensive Steelers offseason coverage all throughout the 2025 offseason. First segment in the books, Mr. Jack Lautaret. I did get a Venmo. So I will send it your way, Mr. Jack. Let's get this going. So coming up here, I'm going to be getting into our Aaron Rodgers segment here. And, I'm going to be going over the reasons why I think that Mike Tomlin in particular might be really thinking about bringing in Aaron Rodgers. And I know that there's a lot of people in this community, and trust me, I understand these reasons, that they don't want Aaron Rodgers. All right, and I completely understand it. He's not a very likable person, if I'm being completely honest with you. The season with the New York Jets last year was a complete disaster. I think a lot of people feel about Aaron Rodgers the same way I feel about Kirk Cousins. All right, and I completely understand where those people are coming from, but I do think that this is a legitimate possibility that we have to keep tabs on here. And our next segment here, I'm going to tell you why I think Mike Tomlin in particular might want to bring Aaron Rodgers to the Steel City. Got a $5 Venmo here from Kareem Richardson. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Let's go, Kareem. I appreciate you. $5 gets a here we go, Steelers. Gary Frank coming in. $2 says, Rodgers is a wheelchair quarterback. So was Tom Brady. He won a Super Bowl with the Tampa Bay Buccaneers later in his career. I know. But also Matthew Stafford, no mobility, won a Super Bowl. I'm not saying Rodgers is a good quarterback, all right? That's not necessarily what I'm saying. I certainly can't guarantee you he'd be good here in Pittsburgh. But, Rodgers, and I think Russell Wilson falls into this category too, Jack, where he needs to be in a system where he's not really the main focus, and I think that he needs to be in a system where he gets rid of the ball quickly. Because like Gary points out, he's lost his athleticism that he had back that made him a superstar in Green Bay. And I will point this out too, Jack. His final 2 years in Green Bay, or out of the final 3 years, he won 2 back-to-back MVPs. At that point in his career, he was not a mobile quarterback. He was not. So, if you put Rodgers in the right system, I think his supporters would argue that he can still be effective as long as he's not in a Nathaniel Hackett offense with Jeff Ulbrich, an interim head coach, as his head coach. I think that would be the argument for why Rodgers could be better in a different system. But trust me, man, I understand the negative aspects of bringing in Aaron Rodgers, and I understand the negative arguments, and I certainly can't blame anybody for not wanting him here in Pittsburgh. Here's our donation menu today, guys. If you want to donate to the channel, we greatly appreciate all of your support. For every $5 that you guys send in, we'll do a Here We Go Steelers chant. $20, we've got these little gummy shots that are that one of the new people here at Chat Sports, Avery, made for us, and she made some non-alcoholic gummies. So for $20, we'll do some gummy shots. We'll bring Avery on. She'll do some with us. And then for every $50 we make today, I'll do 10 push-ups. So right now, I think we're about $20. We're a gummy shot away from doing some push-ups here and doing some gummy shots. So if someone wants to put in a 20, we can party it up here on Steelers Talk. Then $100 total today. Jack's wearing a stupid Boston Red Sox hat today. Need him to switch that hat with a Steelers hat. So $100 total, we can get that done. $200 total today. I'll do a boot. All right, now let's get to our next super chat here from Christopher. From Bob Locke. What's up, Bob? Good to see us. Is off topic. Do you think the Ravens will release Justin Tucker amidst more allegations? Yes, I think they will release him. He didn't have his best season last year anyway, and now that this is getting to like Deshaun Watson levels of allegations, and honestly, there was some rumblings about this before this stuff even came out, Jack. So I think Justin Tucker is cooked. I think that he's going to get released, and I don't think he's going to work in the NFL again. That's just my opinion. So yeah, that's
quick. We've got 231 people watching, which is awesome. We've got 80 likes. Can we get 200 likes?
Can we get to 100 likes? Here, this is what I'll do. All right? If we get to 100 likes, me and Avery will do a gummy shot right now. All right? So, Avery, are you out there? Was that a yes? Can you get some of the gummy shots for us, the non-alcoholic for me, please? All right, so she's going to go grab us some gummy shots. If we can get to if we need 6 more likes here. If we can get to 100 likes, we'll do some of these gummy shots for you guys. There we go. We got to 100. So Avery is on her way. Coming up, we do have another 2 segments to get to here on Steelers Talk, so make sure you guys don't go anywhere. Want to give a shout-out to all the people in the chat right now. We got Kyle in here, says, get your likes in. We got Robert Locke in here. He says, you can tell he wants a gummy shot. I do, man. I didn't really get the chance to have lunch today, Jack. I was busy handling the script for today's show. You know, we were working today, so I didn't get much of a lunch. Got Tim Robinson in here. We got Taylor, who says we should try to get J.J. McCarthy. Unfortunately, I don't think the Vikings are not trying to get rid of J.J. McCarthy, I don't think. We got Wayne Banks. He says bring Justin Fields back, then draft a quarterback. You know, I think that if you bring Fields back, you don't necessarily need to draft a quarterback because Fields is your, you know, kind of high upside option there. All right, so this is for me. This is the non-alcoholic. All right, so Avery, you made these. So look at these things. These are, so yeah, she is very short, by the way. So she is very short. She's barely even on camera here. All right, so you guys can see here, she made these gummy bears, and they are giant. They're like Jell-O gummy. This is a green one, so you can't even see it on screen with our green screen. So you guys can see these are like huge. I don't know if you guys can see how big these are. These are giant Jell-O gummy bears. So are you going to take all of them at once, or are you going to just take one for right now, Avery?
I don't know. What do the people want?
What do the people want? Do you want her to go just one or all at once? For the first one, let's just go straight shot. How about that?
I'll do that.
All right, so first one for me. Here we go. Cheers to you guys. Go Steelers. I like this. These are good. I like it. That's good.
They were soaking in Sprite.
You can definitely tell that there's Sprite in there, too. I love it. All right, thank you to Avery for making those for us. $20. We'll get those going for you guys today. Oh, all right. That was a lot of Jell-O, though. It's definitely a lot in there. All right. $20. We'll take another one for you guys. She says $20 makes me holla. Very nice. Penny's pretty funny. Not going to lie. Got another super chat coming in from Charmander and Froki. Says, I don't like Aaron Rodgers as quarterback. He's old and can't run. So keep Fields, but mainly the offensive line and running backs should be better and another receiver. I will say this, though, Jack. I will say this. I think that mobility, especially when it comes to the Steelers quarterback discussion, is a little bit overrated because the Steelers just need somebody that can handle the offense, that can operate the offense, can make the right decision with the football. I think Justin Fields has struggled with those things in the past, even last year. I think the team was 30th in yards per play when he was the quarterback. That's just not good enough, right? So Fields, I think, is going to have to take a big step forward, whereas I think when you watched Rodgers down the stretch, I think that he actually did a really good job, especially when Devontae Adams was in there, of, making the best out of a terrible situation there in New York. All right, so I think, what the Steelers should be looking for is somebody that can effectively operate the offense. And if you don't think that's Rodgers, that's perfectly fine. But I certainly don't think mobility is at the top of the Steelers' list of things that they should be looking for in a quarterback. And that's just my opinion, obviously, but, I think that is an important point to bring up here. Gary Frank with a 10. What's up, Gary? Says either Avery is tiny or Jack, you're extremely tall. LOL. Get her a step stool. Yeah, so I don't even know if I think it's a combo of both. She is rather small, and then I'm rather large. And from the tall department, obviously I'm not big. I'm very tall. But it's the truth. It's the truth. So Gary gets 2. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. And I want to address this point, too. I want to address this point before we get into the next segment. Dylan says, need a mobile quarterback behind an inexperienced O-line. Here's the thing. Justin Fields is obviously very mobile, all right? He is somebody that is a dynamic rusher of the football, all that stuff. The offensive line wasn't good last year, and we saw the numbers that Fields had. It's not like Fields' mobility elevated the offense with the offensive line being the way that it was. In fact, I think Fields had like the 25th best pressure to sack ratio or something around that, and he got sacked a lot. And, I think that if the offensive line stinks, I don't know if the 2 or 3 times a game Justin Fields escapes to run is going to be enough to make up for the stuff that he, frankly, wasn't able to do last year as an in-structure playmaker. So that's my worry with Justin Fields. I don't think his mobility is enough to make up for the in-structure playmaking element of the game. And, I don't think 2 or 3 plays where he escapes the pocket is going to be enough to make up for a bad offensive line. So I think that, the Steelers are going to be really, really banking on that offensive line to be a lot better than they were last season. And if, that offensive line doesn't do that and they stink, frankly, I don't think Justin Fields is going to be able to really make up for that. I mean, hell, Jack, what has been the main thing with Justin Fields throughout his career? His offensive line stink. How can you expect Justin Fields to be good if his O-line stinks? Well, guess what? He's had the mobility, so why hasn't he been able to make up for that? It's because the offensive line really doesn't make up for the stuff that Fields brings to the table. What are your thoughts on that?
Look, I'm a Justin Fields stan.
I'm a
Justin Fields truther.
You are Justin Fields truther.
I always have been. I always will be.
There we go, Jack.
If you watch some of the film, and look, I'm not as versed on the film as other people are, of course, but when I see Justin Fields' film, and this is more in Chicago because that's when I was producing the Chicago watch parties and stuff, when you have 2 seconds in the pocket, if that, before you got hands on, like, what are you going to do?
Well, I mean, his average time to throw is over 3 seconds, so he obviously has more time than that.
I'm more talking in Chicago.
Okay, that's fair enough.
That was.
But even in Chicago, he was like last in the league in time to throw.
He needs to get the ball out.
Yes.
He has issues. But there was a lot of instances too where.
Oh, I'm not.
He's getting hit.
Trust me, I'm not saying that he has had good offensive line play in his career. The point I'm trying to make is that his mobility is not enough to make up for a bad offensive line. Like people think that. People think that, Justin can run, therefore we don't need a good O-line. I just don't agree with that kind of thinking.
I do find it a little bit weird. What was Fields' record with Pittsburgh last year before
it was 4-2.
Russ? I mean, that's not... I didn't watch the film. I don't know. That's just going through. That's not bad.
Here's the thing, though, Jack. You want to guess the average points per game allowed by the Steelers defense last year in the 4 games that they won?
Very, very little.
They gave up less than 10 points a game in the 4 games they won.
I mean, I'll do it.
That'll do it, right? Listen, man, if they go with Justin Fields next year, guys, I want to be absolutely clear. I'm going to get behind him, and I'm going to absolutely root for him. And, I'm going to be behind this team no matter who they get at quarterback, all right? I just have my concerns, all right? And I think that, I have very good reasons to be concerned about Justin Fields. If you disagree with me, that's perfectly fine. We're all trying to do what's best for this football team here. We all want this team to get going next season and try to compete for a Super Bowl. So without further ado here, let's get into our next segment here. Why I think Aaron Rodgers might have the best odds to be the next Steelers starting quarterback next year, whether we want that or not. Let's get into it right now. Steelers fans, the more that I think about the Steelers quarterback situation and who I think is going to be the Steelers starting quarterback next year, I think the more that I think about this, I think Aaron Rodgers' chances of being the next Steelers starting quarterback get higher and higher and higher the more that I discover about this potential connection. So today we're going to be breaking down the reasons why I think Aaron Rodgers might be the most likely option for the Pittsburgh Steelers to be their starting quarterback next year, whether we as fans want that or not. But get us going down there in the comments section and let me know. One-word reaction if the Steelers sign Aaron Rodgers. Let me know what you guys would react to this signing with down there in the comments section. So before I start here, I want to make sure I'm acknowledging this because I completely understand the people out there that do not want Aaron Rodgers. And, me coming out with this video saying that Rodgers might have the best chance of getting signed to be this team's starting quarterback, that doesn't necessarily mean that I want him or that he's my number one option to be the next starting quarterback of the Pittsburgh Steelers. All right, I completely understand the reasons why people are very much against Aaron Rodgers. All right, here are some of the negatives involved with bringing in Rodgers to be the next starting quarterback. All right, like, would he really be a culture fit? Like, Mike Tomlin is very much a we kind of culture type of guy, and the reputation from Rodgers around the league is that he's a little bit of a me guy. He's a little prickly. He doesn't get along with people the best. Even though you listen to guys like Devontae Adams, Randall Cobb, some of the people he's been with throughout his career, they absolutely love him as a teammate. I do think it's fair to wonder if he is a culture fit here in Mike Tomlin in that locker room. The second thing is that Rodgers' decreased athleticism, just like Russell Wilson, forces him to win within structure. So he can't be the running around gunslinger type of guy he used to be there in Green Bay. He has to be more of an in-structure playmaker, kind of similar to how Tom Brady was at the end of his career, where he wins from the pocket, he gets the ball out fast, and he uses his pre-snap and post-snap processing to get the ball to the right receiver and get into the right play. Another negative involved with Rodgers is that he has a hard time developing chemistry with new receivers. We saw that a little bit with the New York Jets this past year. His offense is so based on communication and chemistry and all these different things. So you have to work with him a little while usually to develop some chemistry with him. And of course, if he comes to Pittsburgh, it'd be his first year working with guys like George Pickens, Roman Wilson, of course, Calvin Austin III. And even if he brings in Devontae Adams, which would be a plus, he'd really be the only guy in this offense, receiver-wise, that he would have that chemistry with. And then the final negative here is that he would leave Pittsburgh with no long-term plan at quarterback. Aaron's going to be 42 next year, all right? And he might be here for 2 years, and that's it. And then the Steelers are back to square one looking for a quarterback of the future. So when people say, I don't want old Aaron Rodgers anymore, especially after the season the Jets had last year, I completely get it, all right? But with that being said, I can still see this happening. And there's a bunch of different reasons why I think that the rumors of Rodgers to the Steelers are legit. I think it all starts with Mike Tomlin. And I think that Tomlin could be the key to landing Rodgers here in the Steel City, because Tomlin and Rodgers have a mutual respect that goes back many, many years, and it's well documented. So we can just take a look at a couple of quotes here. This is what Aaron Rodgers said on the Pat McAfee show a few years back. I am a big Mike Tomlin fan. I have been for a long time. I like the way he speaks about his team. I like the way he goes about his business. I like his confidence. I've heard nothing but good things from the people who have played there. I like Mike Tomlin. And then it seems to be kind of shared, mutual respect here, because Mike Tomlin said this just last year in an interview with NBC Sports. It's exciting for me to compete against quote-unquote elite players. So he thinks Aaron is still an elite player. Just the competitive component of this game, to do it at the level he's done it at for so long, it's an honor to compete against men like that. So it certainly sounds like Tomlin and Rodgers, or that Tomlin thinks that Rodgers can still play. Tomlin clearly still holds Rodgers in high regard as a football player, and at the end of the day, he kind of calls the shots. He is the head coach. He is the longest tenured head coach in the NFL right now, and he has a lot of say in who the quarterback is going to be heading into 2025. So if Tomlin likes Rodgers, that automatically increases Rodgers' chances of coming to the Pittsburgh Steelers. And also, just from a stylistic standpoint, Rodgers does a lot of things well that are important to Mike Tomlin. First, we can take a look at the playoff experience. 22 career playoff games for Aaron Rodgers, a ton of experience on that big stage. Plus, he has that Super Bowl win early on in his career. Hasn't been able to get back to the Super Bowl since that early Super Bowl win, though, so keep that in mind. But he has 34 game-winning drives throughout his career, which is 17th all-time in NFL history. So, he's certainly capable of delivering a game-winning drive when it's needed. And then the turnover-worthy play percentage last year in terms of turning the football over, Rodgers is still very good at protecting the ball. 1.8% turnover-worthy play percentage last year, ranked 6th in the National Football League. And then he actually is tied for the lowest interception percentage in NFL history at just 1.4% of his passes getting picked off. The other quarterback that shares that record is one Jacoby Brissett, by the way. So what say you guys? Let me know down there in the comments section. What is the percent chance that Rodgers is a Steeler next year? All right, and I want you to take emotion out of it here. In terms of the likelihood that Aaron Rodgers signs with the Pittsburgh Steelers, what do you think is the odds? From 0 to 100, 0 meaning no chance he is a Pittsburgh Steeler next year, to 100 meaning he's definitely going to be a Steeler. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comments section for today's pinned comment. In just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Fanatics. And while I'm talking about Fanatics, let me know what you think Rodgers' chances of being a Steeler are in 2025. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Fanatics. Go to chatsports.com/throwback to get this awesome Steelers throwback t-shirt in your closet today. Personally, guys, you guys can see it with my t-shirt today. I don't like really bold designs. I like to keep things simple in terms of the things that I wear here at the office at Chat Sports. But when I go to Latrobe, man, there's nothing wrong with a little graphic tee with a nice, clean, simple throwback logo on a black t-shirt. I think that is a really, really good look for anybody that wants to rock a Steelers shirt anywhere in public, especially at training camp coming up here in August. So go to chatsports.com/throwback if you haven't already. Get this t-shirt in your closet today. And by the way, when you use our link, chatsports.com/throwback, and you make a purchase, Fanatics sends us part of the proceeds. So it helps us out here at Steelers Talk. It helps us buy new equipment to improve our graphics, all the stuff that we do here at Chat Sports to give you guys the best damn Steelers content anywhere on this platform. So if you guys want to help us out today, go chatsports.com/throwback and go get your shirt today. Another thing that I think increases the chances of the Steelers acquiring Aaron Rodgers this offseason is the Pat McAfee influence. Now, if you guys didn't know, McAfee it comes from the suburbs of Pennsylvania, of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania in particular. He is very much ingrained in Yinzer culture. And even though he played his professional career with the Indianapolis Colts, and obviously he's very close with the Colts, he also has a soft spot for the Pittsburgh Steelers. They talk about the Steelers a ton on that show. If you've ever watched it, of course, they got Tone Diggs on there. They're the classic Steelers fan in there. And I think that, Rodgers comes on that show about once a month, and I think that McAfee and crew are going to be pushing him a little bit in the direction of the Pittsburgh Steelers, especially if they haven't signed Justin Fields at that point. And, it's certainly possible that McAfee tries to get Rodgers to go play for his former team there with Shane Steichen and the Indianapolis Colts. The Colts have said that they're going to be looking for competition for Anthony Richardson coming up in 2025. But honestly, I think that they're going to be looking for more of like an Andy Dalton, a Jacoby Brissett maybe to kind of compete with Richardson, maybe bring back Gardner Minshew. I think that Rodgers, probably the more likely destination for him would be Pittsburgh. Third thing that I think increases Rodgers' chances of becoming a Steeler is that he wouldn't be too pricey. All right. Whenever I bring up Matthew Stafford on the show, people tell me he's going to be too expensive. And it's like, all right, fair enough. But Aaron Rodgers, it might cost around the same as Justin Fields. Like he might be signed for like a $15 to $20 million contract. And depending on Fields' market, that might be around the range that Fields goes for. So, in terms of the cap hit that the Steelers are going to have to take on at quarterback, there really isn't that much difference between Aaron Rodgers and Justin Fields in terms of the cap hit solely. But that's certainly something to keep in mind here is that the Steelers could get him, and they're not really spending a whole lot of money against the cap to bring him in. Then we get to another reason here, which is that I do think he'd be an upgrade. All right. Now, is he my number one quarterback option for the Steelers this year? No, all right, but when I watch Rodgers on film, and I have watched his entire season on film in preparation for giving my proper take on him, I think that he got a lot better as the season went on when Davante Adams was there, and I think that offense structured by Nathaniel Hackett, their OC, was terrible. And now Aaron Rodgers had his hand in that, and I think that he's going to have to come to a team where, gives him a little bit of structure, and he's not going to be allowed to completely run the show. But I still think that he has some nice arm talent. I think he does have some accuracy still. I still think he protects the football well and he gets the football out quickly. And honestly, guys, he has a lot of the same positive qualities that Russell Wilson brings to the table, only I think that he actually builds on them. So here are some of the similarities here between Russ and Rodgers. Obviously, they're both aging, all right? They're both older quarterbacks that have reduced athleticism. They're not the playmakers they used to be. They're both really, really good pre-snap processors. They both have legit arm talent, throwing the ball down the field still. They can still deliver passes in pass-heavy moments, like third and long, 2-minute drill, etc. And then, I think that both of these guys prefer to avoid the middle of the field because you're more likely to throw interceptions over there. So Rodgers doesn't like to throw over the middle as much because he wants to avoid interceptions. And I think where these two guys, Russell Wilson and Aaron Rodgers, are at in their career is that they need to be more of like a Tom Brady type of quarterback where they stick in the pocket, they don't really leave it, they get the ball out quickly, they use their pre- and post-snap processing to get the ball out quickly. And I think that Aaron Rodgers is better equipped to play that style of quarterback. All right, Russell Wilson is too short to even progress past his first read from within the pocket. At least Rodgers has the size and the ability to throw over the middle of the field when he wants to be able to play that style of offense. All right, like Rodgers is still more than capable of doing that, can still throw with great touch, great arm talent. He still possesses all those qualities. But unlike Russ, Rodgers can actually see over the middle of the field. So implementing Rodgers in this offense gives you all the positive aspects of Russ, but also builds upon them with something that Russ simply cannot do at this point in his NFL journey. And then when it comes to Justin Fields, I can certainly respect the take that Fields is going to be a better quarterback than Rodgers. And you think if Rodgers is just on the decline and he's going to continue to get worse and worse and worse, I certainly understand the take that you would want Justin Fields, who might be on the up and up, over Aaron Rodgers. But I think that Rodgers is by far the better mental processor. I think their average time to throws illustrate that. I think Rodgers was in the top 10 last year, and then Fields was like in the bottom 3. So Rodgers gets the ball out a lot faster. I think that he would be a better game manager than Justin Fields could be, at least based on what we saw from Fields in the 2024 tape. Then the final thing that I want to talk about here is that the Davante Adams perk does come with Aaron Rodgers. All right, we know Davante loves to play with Aaron Rodgers. All right, and that should tell you everything you really need to know about Rodgers as a teammate and how much his guys really feel loyalty to him. But, I think that Adams is still a legit number one receiver in this league. He's still a legit route runner. He played really, really well down the stretch with Rodgers throwing him the football there in New York. And because the Jets were out of the playoffs, nobody really watched the Jets play. But especially that Jacksonville game towards the end of the season, Davante Adams was lighting people up. And, this could be a legitimate connection if the Steelers do bring in Aaron Rodgers for the 2025 season. And then I think another added benefit to getting Davante Adams here is that I think that George Pickens would be allowed to not have to be the leader in that room. And I think that we all agree he's had some kind of behavior and personality, certain stuff over the last several seasons. Davante, who's the consummate pro, would become the new leader in the wide receiver room. And George, as we know, Pickens has made comments about Davante. These guys have a ton of mutual respect for each other. I think Pickens would love, love, love to play with Davante Adams here in Pittsburgh. So not only do you get Davante Adams, but George Pickens likely wants to stay here in Pittsburgh in 2025. So in conclusion here, Rodgers is not my top choice for quarterback for the Pittsburgh Steelers for next season. He's not. All right, and I certainly understand the reasons why people do not and are vehemently against the Steelers going out and getting him. Even guys like Deshaun Elliott, who is on the freaking team, went out and said that they don't want Aaron Rodgers. But respectfully to Deshaun and respectfully to all the Steelers fans out there that don't want Rodgers, Mike Tomlin's in the head coaching chair and Omar Khan's in the GM chair, and those guys are going to make the decision. All right, so I am open-minded to Rodgers becoming a Steeler. I think that there are certain perks. The Davante Adams thing, I think that he could, if he adjusts to his game to Arthur Smith's system, I think he could still operate this style of offense at a high level. I think that he didn't play nearly as bad, especially down the stretch last year, as some people want to say that he played. And I still think he is somewhere between like the 12th and the 16th best quarterback in football. He's not a superstar anymore, but the Steelers don't need that, especially if they can fix their run game. I'm not saying Rodgers is my top choice, but I think that I'm at least open-minded to the possibility. So let me know down there in the comments section if you made it to the end of today's show. Type real one in all caps if you made it to the end of today's video. Really do appreciate all of your guys' support. Make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. We got more Steelers QB content coming your way throughout the 2025 offseason. Until next time, guys, here we go, Steelers. All right, second segment out of the way. I think we got some super chats there. All right, we did get a Venmo here. So we'll get to some of these super chats in just a moment. We got a Venmo that we got to get to. Got a $2 super chat from Charmander and Froki. Says Steelers should sign Todd Monken. Get rid of Smith. Monken's not going to go anywhere unless he's a head coach. And obviously the Steelers aren't moving off of Tomlin. So listen, I'm just going to say this to everybody. PSA to all Steelers fans. They're not changing anything about the head coach, the offensive coordinator, or defensive coordinator this offseason. That ship has already sailed. If they were going to make changes there, they would have already made them. So if you're still holding out for the Steelers to make a change at these key coaching positions, I wouldn't hold my breath, guys. It's going to be Mike Tomlin, it's going to be Arthur Smith, and it's going to be Terrell Austin. $5. Gary Frank says, I hear Jameis Winston wants to come to Pittsburgh. What's your thoughts? I think if you bring back Justin Fields next year, I'd be okay with Jameis as the backup. I think that he's a really good mentor. I think that he's a great teammate. I think he's a phenomenal locker room personality. And if Fields, God forbid, gets hurt as the starter next year, then I think that, Jameis could be more than serviceable as a starter. He will push the ball down the field. He does throw too many interceptions, which Tomlin probably wouldn't like too much. He likes guys that protect the football. But Winston is somebody that would be a lot of fun to cover. That's for damn sure. So if Justin Fields is back as this team's starter, I wouldn't mind bringing in Winston on a team-friendly deal to be the QB2 whatsoever. Oh, we've got a $50 Venmo from my grandmother, Jack, Diane Yanish. And that means we are over 100. We're at $101 on the day. Everybody spam, grandma, 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 grandma. Let's go. I know, my head's tiny. So you gotta adjust the... So you guys know what that means. Producer Jack has to take off his stupid Boston Red Sox hat, and he has to put on a Steelers hat. So Jack, whenever you're ready, unveil that piece for us. Let's go. Hey! Hey, grab your towel. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. Appreciate it, Grandma. Thanks for the 50 for the show, for the culture. It's all great. Plus, we've got to $100, so that means I got 20 push-ups to do here. So we are now $100 away from doing a boot here on the show. So just so everybody knows that, $20 for Gummy Shots, for these gummy bear shots that we got from our little helper Avery today. All right, we ready for the push-ups? All right, let's get them going right now. We got 20 to knock out, so let's get it. Oh, I gotta take my watch off. All right. I know we're waiting, Jack. All right, 1, 2. And 20. All right. Whoo. All right. Nothing like getting a little push in before before getting segment number 3 going. We got Brian Davis in here. Gabriel Frank still hanging out with us. Robert Locke, Gene Rankin. We got Matt. We've got Kevin. We've got Blitzberg. We've got Gary Frank says, sorry, Cassie. Jack's going to be tired when he gets home tonight. I mean, Cassie and I are just watching The Bachelor tonight. That's all we're doing. We're just going to be sitting. Yeah, Jack's going to be watching WWE tonight, and then Cassie and I will be tuning in to see.
You're damn right I am.
It's going to be a good night, though, man. It's been a hard day of work so far. Let's finish it up here at the final segment of today's show. My mock draft roundup. Jack, get on screen here for a second. I need to take a little drink. If you want to give some shout outs to the people in the chat before we get into the third segment, let's go.
All right, let's see the chat. We got a lot of grandmas. B Lock said it's okay. I like the Red Sox too. Hey, guys, if you like the Red Sox Rundown by Chat Sports. It's a new channel here at Chat Sports that I'm hosting. So if you're interested.
Can we announce this too? We're going to be doing Skeens Day watch parties once again here on Steelers Talk this spring. So you're not for opening day because you are going to the Rangers home opener.
I'm going to be boots on the ground, Red Sox Rangers opening day.
Yep, and then I think it'll be me and Coop will be here for Skeens Day opening day. I can't remember. Do the Pirates open at PNC this year?
Let me see.
I got to think they are with Skeens on the mound, right?
Well, that's not guaranteed.
They got to be home at PNC.
Let me see.
Jack's checking for us right now. We got to get answers here.
Opening day.
Opening day for the Pirates
is the 27th. They are in Miami.
They are in Miami? Oh, that sucks, dude. We're still gonna be here though. We had so much fun with the Skeens watch parties last year. We're gonna get them going again this spring here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you click those subscribe buttons for that. But let's get into it here. Justin Watson, my man. I appreciate you, Justin. Justin is here. We've got William D. We got Matt Geelan. We got John Masood. What's up, John? Good to see you. Got Pizza is goated. Dylan. Are we ready? All right, great. Let's get into the mock draft roundup for the Pittsburgh Steelers here, where I react to the latest mock drafts surrounding your Pittsburgh Steelers. Today on Steelers Talk, I am reacting to all the latest Steelers mock drafts that have been put out there in NFL draft media over the last several days, and I'm reacting to the players that they are projecting to the Pittsburgh Steelers in round one of this year's NFL draft. Before we get into today's edition of Steelers Draft Rumors, make sure you guys get down there in the comments section, and if you want your Steelers mock draft to be featured on the show, this is how you guys can make that happen. Use hashtag Steelers down there in the comments section, along with your Steelers mock draft, all right? If you do those two things, we're going to filter through all the top Steelers mock drafts here on today's show, and we are going to feature them on a future edition of Steelers Talk, where I'm going to react to your guys' Steelers mock drafts. So if you guys want to get in on that action, use hashtag Steelers along with your mock draft down there in the chat. And if you want to guarantee that your mock draft gets on the show, send in a super thanks. There's a little symbol right below this video. It says thanks on it. It's got the little money sign with the heart. If you guys send in any dollar amount along with your Steelers mock draft, that will guarantee that you get your Steelers mock draft on the show when we eventually do this video in the near future. So with that, let's start with Joel Klatt, Fox Sports NFL draft and college football analyst, who has the Steelers taking Matthew Golden, wide receiver out of Texas, with their first-round draft pick this season. This is what Klatt had to say about this pick. I'll be honest with Pittsburgh, or about Pittsburgh. I have no idea. I think Pittsburgh could use any number of position groups. Therefore, this is just a position of need. Who's going to be their quarterback this year? They've got a lot to figure out. I think they need a wide receiver. George Pickens is their only real threat, and he hasn't been all that consistent. Golden only spent 1 year at Texas. He transferred in from Houston, but he made the most of it. He was excellent for them. So listen, man, you guys know if you've been watching the show, and we've covered Golden a couple times on the show already this offseason, I love his skill set, man, and I think that he'd be a really, really good player here in the Steelers offense. He's such a great downfield threat, tracks the ball down the field so wonderfully. He's got great long speed, really excellent acceleration is really where he's special. Really good with the ball in his hands out in space. He's got some return flexibility if you need him to do that, either on kick or punt return. Got great ball skills, can make tough catches. Now, the cons are, even though, I think that he's not the best run blocker in the world, doesn't give best effort as a run blocker. So I think that's something that might turn Arthur Smith off a little bit. He does have a little bit of an injury history, and he doesn't have a ton of success and a lot of experience going up against press coverage. Because he's so fast, teams just really don't play up close to him. But in the NFL, there's going to be corners that can play press and keep up with him every step of the way. So he's going to have to really prove that he can beat press coverage in the league on the outside. Still have an easy round one grade on him. I think he's an excellent, excellent player. And I think that if the Steelers end up drafting Matthew Golden, I will be ecstatic for the Pittsburgh Steelers Football Club. But then we get to what Ryan Wilson from CBS Sports has the Steelers taken. I think I like Luther Burden III even more than Matthew Golden, folks. I think Burden is a really special player. He's already wearing the black and gold in college, baby. I think that he would look great in the Steelers uniform. I think that he's exactly the type of player the Steelers are missing in their offense and in their wide receiver core right now. And I would be jumping for joy if a player as good as Luther Burden III falls to the Pittsburgh Steelers at number 21 overall. He's got elite acceleration, just like Matthew Golden has. He has the great run after the catch ability. I think he's even better than Golden is after the catch. His long speed is really good. Great ball tracking down the field. He's got great toughness over the middle of the field, so he can make tough catches while getting hit. He's got great hands. He uses his hands to catch the football and not his body. Great vertical threat, like I mentioned, with the speed, the acceleration, and then the ball skills. And then the cons, honestly, guys, the one thing that you can really point to is that his production went down in 2024. But when you watch his film, there's nothing wrong with his film. There's an issue with the quarterback play on the Missouri offensive film. I can tell you that right now. But Luther Burden III is just fine, guys. I think that he needs a little bit more refinement running his routes, especially in the intermediate part of the field. But because of the great acceleration and all the great physical tools he brings to the table, I think he's a top 15 player in this year's class, maybe even top 10, I should say. And, I see a lot of people just doubting Luther Burden III, saying that he's not worth a top 10, top 15 pick. And, if that's the case, I'm like, good. Let him fall to the Pittsburgh Steelers, and he'll show you just how good he is in the black and gold moving forward in 2025 and beyond. So I really, really hope that the doubt and, people keep sleeping on Luther Burden III, because I think he's a hell of a player, and I'd love to see him a Steelers uniform moving forward. So if you had the choice between these two wide receivers, which one are you picking? Type LB for Luther Burden III or MG for Matthew Golden. Let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section. For me, if I had the choice between the two, I'm going Luther Burden III, but I'm certainly cool with either one. This is going to be the pinned comment on today's show. So in just a second here, I'm going to tell you about our sponsor today at Public Rec. While I'm talking about Public Rec, go down there in the comment section and answer this question. And with that, let's have a word from our sponsor here at Public Rec. And let's face it, guys, and let's get real for a minute. Nobody's got time for stiff, uncomfortable clothes anymore. It's February, and it's cold outside in Pittsburgh, PA, and you deserve to be comfortable in whatever you're wearing, no matter where you are on the planet, and no matter what you're doing. That's where Public Rec comes in, guys. These pants are an absolute game changer because these pants are designed to be as comfy as your favorite sweats, but way more stylish. We're talking super soft fabric, no stiff seams, and enough stretch to keep up with whatever your day throws at you. Public Rec isn't just about pants. They have so many great style options, whether you're working all day in the office, running errands, or just grabbing a drink with the guys. And I can tell you guys this right now. Once you put them on, you're going to wonder why you never wore anything else. So this February, stop settling for the same old stuff, especially when it comes to the pants that you're wearing. Step up your comfort game with Public Rec today, because for a limited time only, our listeners get 20% off your entire order with code CHAT20. It's right down there in the bottom of your screen right now, CHAT20 at publicrec.com. That's 20% off when you use promo code CHAT20 at publicrec.com. And it's more than just pants, guys. You guys can get shirts, polos, all that great stuff from Public Rec. I love how breathable and stretchy and premium the materials that they use with these products. I wear them every single day here at the office. Big shout out to Public Rec for hooking us up, by the way. But the pants are a big game changer for me, guys, because I can never find pants at a department store that fit my size. And I can honestly rarely find pants in a department store or online store that fit my size. But with Public Rec, you get the customized sizing options, which allow me to get my perfect fit every single time for every single purchase I make. And you can do the same right now. So this February, treat yourself right, because comfort is always in season. Upgrade to Public Rec and feel the difference today. For a limited time only, you guys can get 20% off at publicrec.com by using code CHAT20 at checkout. Just head on over to publicrec.com and use code CHAT20 and you're all set. Oh, and when they ask you where you found them, be sure to mention our show, Steelers Talk by Chat Sports. It really does help us out. Find your perfect fit and never compromise on comfort again. Public Rec, where comfort rules. So now let's talk about Pro Football Focus's 7-round Steelers mock draft that they just released earlier this week. We'll start with who they have the Steelers taking in round 1, and they're going to go corner here, Azariah Thomas out of Florida State. And this is somebody that really fits the Steelers mold of a starting corner. He is long, he is physical, he does get a bit too grabby at times, and he's not the best in zone coverage. He's more of a man specialist. But you guys remember how high I was on Renardo Green last year out of Florida State, and he went to the San Francisco 49ers and absolutely balled out in his rookie season. I think Thomas could be a very, very similar projection here, and I think that he has a decent chance of going round one because of his long arms, his physical play style. That's the type of stuff that teams that really want to play a lot of man coverage are going to cherish, and they're going to want to take early on in the NFL draft. But I think the Steelers are going to go corner in free agency. All right, I think that they're going to prioritize other things such as running back, wide receiver, defensive tackle in the first few rounds of the draft. And I think that there's a very, very good class of cornerback free agents this year at the Steelers' disposal. It's not like they need a true number one guy. I think that I feel like that they view Joey Porter Jr. as their future lockdown number one corner on the outside. So they just got to get him a decent running mate that doesn't, give up a touchdown consistently in man coverage. I'm looking at you, Dante Jackson. So anybody on this list I would be perfectly fine with, except for Mike Hilton, who's more of a slot corner. But if you're looking for an outside corner, I think there's a lot of opportunities to go get one in free agency this year. So I would save the first round pick for something else. Then in round 2, Xavier Restrepo, wide receiver out of Miami. He's a slot specialist. Thought he had a really good Senior Bowl week, and I think he's a really good player. I just don't know if he's what the Steelers are looking for. I think Pittsburgh needs more of a threat on the outside, somebody that's going to be more of a Z wide receiver if he's going to be paired with George Pickens. I think Calvin Austin III and Roman Wilson are two guys that can play the slot. I think Calvin can play on the outside as well, but Roman is like a true slot specialist. All right, and that's kind of what Xavier Restrepo is. So it would be very redundant for the Steelers to get another slot specialist. And, unless Roman Wilson just absolutely sucks and, he's not going to be able to be a good player for this team and they need to address that position, I just don't get why the Steelers would take a slot specialist again in Xavier Restrepo when there's other options that could potentially thrive on the outside still available here at pick number 53. And then in round 3, the PFF has the Steelers taking Riley Mills, a very good 3 technique from the Notre Dame Fighting Irish. He's just under 300 pounds, so I can't say that I see him as a nose tackle. And for me personally, I'd rather get a nose tackle. There's some very, very good run stuffers in this year's class. And, Mills is certainly capable of doing his part in the run game, but he's known as more of a 3 technique, penetrating type of player, somebody that's going to be more of a pass rusher than a true run stuffer. So if you get a guy like Riley Mills, that will work out fine. You replace him and put him in Larry Ogunjobi's spot at the 5 tech, but that also means that Keanu Benton, who I think is more of a fit at 3 or 5 technique, a more penetrative spot, is going to have to stay at the nose tackle and take on double teams. And I think that you're kind of wasting his potential by keeping him at the nose. So honestly, I don't love this pick either. Then in round 4, you get Will Howard, the quarterback out of Ohio State. And, round 4 is about right for drafting Will Howard, in my opinion. I think that Howard is a decent level quarterback prospect that's probably going to be a backup in the league. I think that he gets the ball where it needs to go. I think that he throws with some decent touch over the middle of the field. I think Arthur Smith will appreciate that. But I don't know if he has super high level arm talent. I think he's a good athlete, not a special athlete. Certainly not a difference maker in terms of running the football at the professional level. And I think that he's probably going to be somebody that's a pretty decent backup in the league. So I don't mind a 4th round pick being spent on that if you need one. But if you're hoping that Will Howard's going to be the future of the Pittsburgh Steelers at quarterback, I think you're going to be disappointed with that. Then in round 5, they finally have the Steelers going running back here with Kalel Mullings, running back out of Michigan. And Mullings is certainly a decent wide running back. I think this is a really good running back class. And honestly, I think Mullings could potentially be a late day 2 type of guy if this was a normal running back class. But, this isn't a normal running back class, and I don't think that he's a difference maker. And I think that's what the Steelers need. I think the Steelers really want to lean into the run game. They want this offense to operate like the Eagles or the Ravens. They want to run the football 1,000,000 times a game, and they want their opponent to not be able to do anything about it. I don't think Mullings is the type of guy that's going to be able to get this run game to that level. I think he's a good player. I think that he could be a decent rotational piece for a run game in the future, but I think the Steelers need to be spending an earlier draft pick on a running back, somebody that can be a little bit more of a day 1 impact. Then we get to round 7 here, and I actually love this pick from PFF. This is my favorite pick in the entire mock draft. Efton Chisholm III, wide receiver out of East Washington. There we go. I'm so used to saying Siobhan Rebel Jr. and saying East Carolina that I forgot about Eastern Washington. And this guy, Chisholm, number 1 graded wide receiver in all of college football last year with a 92.0 PFF grade. He was in the 20s of forced missed tackles last year. He's got a great stiff arm, as you guys can see on screen right now. And, I think he's got some physical limitations that are going to prevent him from going higher in the draft. But as we saw with guys like Cooper Kupp, who also came out of Eastern Washington, by the way, these guys can potentially play in the league. And if the Steelers can get this guy in round 7, that could potentially be like a Jalen Coker kind of pick. You guys remember Coker out of Holy Cross last year, eventually went to Carolina, had a really good season, his rookie season. I think Chisholm could be that kind of sleeper wide receiver in this year's class. Then we get to round 7, Luke Newman, a guard who would be a depth piece for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I think this is a fine pick. This is somebody that came over, I think, from Holy Cross. Speaking of Holy Cross, I think he went from Holy Cross over to Michigan State, and he didn't allow a single sack from the guard spot in 2024. So if you're looking to solidify, your ranks inside the interior of the offensive line, 7th-round pick, if Newman's there, I think that is a perfectly fine pick for Omar Khan and the Steelers to make. So overall, because I didn't agree with some of the placement and the timing of some of the picks, I'm going to give this a C-. Now, you do get some good players in this draft. I just don't know if the timing and, the players themselves and the role and the fit that they would play in this with this Steelers team is necessarily what the Steelers are going to be looking for. You guys can see here with the PFF mock haul, like Restrepo is a slot specialist. I don't think the Steelers need another one of those. Riley Mills, I'd rather get a true nose tackle than another penetrative player. Azariah Thomas in the first round, I think you're going to get a veteran corner in round 1, so I don't, or in free agency, I should say. I don't necessarily love that pick. But some of the later picks, Afton Chisholm the third, Luke Newman, I think there would be excellent picks on late day 3. So let me know what you guys think down there in the comment section, A, B, C, D, or F for that mock draft. And don't forget, for you guys to get your Steelers mock draft on the show and for me to react to those, you guys can use hashtag Steelers down in the comment section below this video to give me your Steelers mock draft. And then don't forget as well, if you want to guarantee your mock draft gets on that show, you guys can send in any dollar amount, super thanks. It could be $1, $2, $5, $10. Doesn't matter. If you guys send in a super thanks this week along with your Steelers mock draft, you will be on the mock draft video and the reaction video that I'm going to do soon here on Steelers Talk. So make sure you click that subscribe button for that show and every single show that we do on this channel for the foreseeable future. We give you guys the most extensive Steelers offseason coverage anywhere on YouTube, 100% free. So if you want extensive coverage here on the Black and Gold, make sure you click that subscribe button right now. All right, got some super chats to get to here before we say goodbye today. Thank you so much to everybody for making it to the end of today's show. Gary Frank says, off topic, what's your thoughts on the flights and the other night, fights? He said, well, he did say flights the other night on the Canada and USA. I kind of liked it. It's an exhibition game, so it might as well be fine. I mean, you're a WWE fan, so you definitely love the fights. And I love the fact that the USA guys kicked the ass of the Canadians. I love that shit. That's awesome. USA, USA, USA. Everybody spam USA in the chat. Thanks, Gary. That's a 5. Here we go, Steelers. Here we go. All right, William D with a $10 super chat. A first-time super chatter, so let's give him some Ric Flair drip. Woo! William D with a 10. We appreciate you, Will. Thank you so much. Everybody spam those Wills in the chat for us if you haven't already. So right now, let's do a 3-minute shot clock here, Jack. Let's go 3-minute shot clock. We're still $100 away from a boot, but every 50, I'm doing push-ups, so we're a $50 super chat away from more push-ups. Every 20, we'll bring on Avery here to do some gummy shots with me. And we'll have some fun here. So 3 minutes to get your super chats in, get your Venmos in, get your Cash Apps in, all that great stuff. And we'll talk a little Steelers here to finish up today's show. Let's see. Let's see if anyone's got any good Steelers topics to talk about in the chat here. William D asks, which running back in this year's draft besides Genty would be the best fit? Jack just whispered Cam Scadaboo in my ear. Honestly, Scadaboo's not a terrible fit. He could be the Thunder to Jalen Warren's Lightning. Kind of like that. I'm not going to lie. Devin Neal out of Kansas, excellent fit. So good running those zone kind of concepts. Caleb Johnson out of Iowa, excellent fit as well. Reminds me a lot of James Conner. He's not the fastest guy in the world. And by the way, Scadaboo's not the fastest guy in the world, but I think speed might be the most overrated aspect of a running back. Like, what's so important with the running back is I think acceleration is way more important. I think vision is way more important. I think ability to run somebody over the way Scadaboo can is very important. I think an ability to have quick feet and agility is more important than speed. Like, sure, it's great to have Saquon Barkley home run hitting level speed, but like you got to be able to just do the job of, maneuvering the formations, of maneuvering the offensive line. I think that is I think that's something that I think I would love to have. So those guys, Scadaboo, Caleb Johnson, Devin Neal, great fits for what the Steelers want to do, in my opinion. So Pizza's Goat is asking, would you trade first-round pick in Najee Harris and a fourth to move up to the Cowboys to get Ashton? Steelers can't trade Najee unless they franchise tag him. He's not under contract for next season. So they'd have to franchise tag him, and I don't think the Cowboys would want him at the franchise tag. So that's just not a possibility. Pizza's goated, unfortunately, but I'm certainly open to trading up with the Cowboys for Ashton, especially if you get a good receiver, if you get the cornerback situation. If you don't have any major needs going into the draft besides running back, that's when I think you make the move to go get Ashton Genty. So we are 30 seconds away here. We've gotten over $100 in donations today, so that's already really, really good, guys. So thank you so much for your support. Right now, what are we, Jack? We're about $30 away from another set of push-ups, around $70 away from a boot. It's probably where we are right now. So if someone sends in a 100 right now, we'll bang for you. And then we got more push-ups, we got more gummy shots, and we've got a boot coming up. So I don't think we're going to get there in time, but... Okay. There it is. Clock just ran out. So I appreciate each and every one of you guys. We still got 150 Yinzers in the chat room right now. You guys are the real ones. Shout out to Tristan. Shout out to VR. Shout out to Gene. Shout out to Kevin. Shout out to William. Pizza is goated. Kevin Reed. Kevin Colbert Sr. We've got Austin Reich. Or Reek. I don't know how to say that. I think it's Reek. Sorry, Austin, for butchering that. We got David. We've got, of course, Cassie, my lovely girlfriend, in the chat. We got Kaleo, Christopher, Matthew Schaefer, Willie Hull. We got a great collection of Steelers fans here. Sam Pugh is here. What's up, Sam Pugh? Good to see you. The original Black Diamond. Steeli is here. What's up, Steeli? We got John Masood, my man. John, you got your hat, right? Let me know if you got your hat. Tristan White is here. Says real one always. I just want to say, guys, I'm so thankful for this community. Thank you guys so much for all that you give me and Coop and of course Jack. Everybody spam Jack in the chat to thank him for stepping in for Coop today. I had a lot of fun on today's show, and I'm going to continue to have fun covering this team with you guys all throughout the offseason. So make sure you click that subscribe button if you haven't already. And until next time, here we go, Steelers.